Hello everybody, I am Dr. Chambishuri. I welcome you to the session on Linux and introduction. Before we get into the subject, we must know the meaning of the term operating system. Operating system is a set of all programs which are required to operate a computer and which control and monitor the application programs. Some of the operating systems are MS-DOS, Windows, Unix, Mac, etc. The operating system can be a single user operating system, meaning that only one user can work in the system at a time. But multi-user operating system allows more than one user to work in the system. Unix is one such multi-user, multitasking operating system. That means you can have more than one user and each user can submit or can execute more than one task. Unix was developed as a research project at AT&T Bell Labs in 1969 by Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie. It is the first multi-user, multitasking operating system in the world. It was developed in several different versions for various hardware platforms. Linux is an offshoot of Unix. It was developed by Linus Torvalds as a student project in 1991, but now it is the most ported OS across the globe. Around 95% of the world's 500 fastest supercomputers are using Linux. There are hundreds of Linux operating system or distributions available these days. Many of them are shown here. They are designed with a specific purpose in mind. For example, to run a web server or to run on network switches like routers, modems, etc. Linux now enjoys popularity at its prime and it's famous among programmers as well as regular computer users around the world. Why? Why do we use it instead of another operating system? The ratio of price by performance is really good. Once you have installed Linux, you no longer need an antivirus. Linux is a highly secure system. Linux is the choice for operating system server environments due to its stability and reliability. It offers free operating system. You do not have to pay thousands of rupees to get the OS like Windows. It is user friendly now. Previously, when it was developed, it was not very user friendly, but later distributions designed it as user friendly operating system. It is ubiquitous, meaning that if you just look around from mobile phone to a supercomputer, anything can be run on a Linux platform. And it promotes open sourcing. It shows if the visible source code is available to you with proper programming knowledge, you can change, you can modify the operating system itself. Then you have got a plethora of applications, freeware of applications written to run on Linux. Now getting deep into Linux, you have hardware, kernel, shell and utilities. Hardware. Of all the currently available operating systems, Linux supports the broadest selection of hardware. There may not be hardware drivers available immediately for the newest component, but Linux still supports the previous or old devices, whereas the other operating systems like Windows have long since left behind. Thus, your investment in printers, scanners, graphic boards, etc. are protected optimally here. So you have a multitasking. This multitasking is preemptive. That is, several processes or jobs running on the system with more than one CPU at a time in parallel. These processes cannot obstruct or damage one another. The kernel ensures that every process is allotted CPU time according to its priority. Now, what is a kernel? Kernel is the actual operating system. It performs the actual task, operating system task. It takes care of elementary functions like memory and process management and hardware control. Application programs must call upon the kernel to access files on disk. The kernel validates such request, and doing so can enforce that nobody gets to access each other's private files. In addition, kernel ensures that all processes in the system and hence all users get the appropriate fraction of the available CPU time. Now shell. Shell, the users cannot directly interact with the operating system. So we have a shell. Users cannot directly communicate with the operating system kernel. This is only possible through programs like shells which access the hardware via system calls. Task of the shell is a special user program that reads commands from the keyboard, interprets them as commands to be executed. Accordingly, the shell serves as an interface between the user and the kernel. The shell also provides built-in commands, and you have got control structures for programming purposes, and you have got environmental variables. Linux supports multiple shells like bash, k shell, c shell, etc. One user can use this bash, another user can use a k shell, another user can use a c shell, etc. And utilities or commands. You can see that sort, cat, wc, gcc, emacs, grep, awk, they are all the utilities or commands. They are all the programs which you run on the system. Why should I call it as a program? Because when you enter a command, it is actually a program code written for that command will be executed. There are all some basic commands in Linux for listing files, creating or viewing files, deleting files, moving and renaming files, directory manipulations, text manipulation, etc. This is how we enter a command. You have a prompt here, then you enter the command. You can specify one or more options and then it can have some argument. So command is the program to perform a task. Options are the way to change how the command will work. For example, you have ls. If I just say ls, the content of the directory will be displayed. The files and subdirectories in a directory will be displayed. When I give this option -a in the short form, it will display all the files including the hidden files. I can do the same thing by using ls double dash followed by the word all. Then you have got this argument. This provides the input and output that the command interacts with. For example, cal is the command, -j is the option, 3/2020 is the argument. This is to print the third month of 2000 calendar of the third month of 2020. I am listing some of the basic commands. ls, as I said, this is for listing the content of the directory. cd is the change directory. pwd is to know the present working directory. Tilde symbol is for the home directory. Echo command is to display some text or a string on the screen. Cat is to display the file. cp is for copying the file. So you have cp 4 bar. 4 will be copied into bar. mv is for moving. When I give mv 4 bar, 4 will be renamed as bar. You can also move many files into one directory, or you can move a directory to another directory. You can make a directory, remove a file, change the group or the ownership. You have a touch command to create a file or to change the modification time. You have pipe command. That means the output of this cal will be redirected to another file. We'll be seeing this redirection now. And you can have some hard and soft link also. These are some of the text processing commands. cat is to display one or more files. WC is for counting the lines, words and characters. Diff is to compare two files. To search a text for a pattern, we use the grep command. Awk is a processing language for pattern scanning and processing. You have cut, head or tail. You have got a more or less, SED, sort and TR. I'm just displaying various options for this ls command. When I give ls-a, it lists all the files including the hidden dot files. In Linux, you have got many dot files, dot profile, dot login, etc. So all the files will be displayed only when you specify -a. When you give ls-l, the information about the files will be displayed in the long format. You have a file size, date modified, etc. You have got this -t, -tu, -r. You can just see all the commands are in lowercase letters. That means Linux is case sensitive. You have -r. And the beauty is you can combine one or more flags like ls-al. It will display all the files and subdirectories including hidden files in the long format. This is the basic workflow of any Linux command. When you execute a command, it takes input from the keyboard, it displays the output to the standard output, and if there is any error, the error will be displayed on the monitor. Again, it is the standard error device. So you have got a standard in with the file descriptor 0, standard out with the file descriptor 1, standard error with the file descriptor 2. So when you are executing the command, the output will be displayed on the screen. That is the standard output device. You can change the standard output by using the output redirection symbol, that is the greater than. So here you can see that ls-al. When I specify only this, so the content of the directory including the hidden files will be displayed in the long format. If I just specify this symbol with the listings, so the content will not be displayed on the screen. Instead, it will be redirected to this file called listings. If the listing is not there, it will be created. If the file is already there, the content will be deleted and it may be overwritten. Suppose I want to append the content. I want to add the content to an existing file, then I must use this operator. Here you can see that ls-al double greater than listings. You can also redirect the standard output to files like this or also to devices like this, because Linux treats all the devices as files. This is for input redirection. That is, instead of taking input from the keyboard, you can take input from some files also. So here you can see that the file.txt gives input to the command cat. Similarly, error redirection, we have to use 2 followed by that greater than symbol. So if I execute this program, my program, the error, suppose if there is any error, the error will be stored in the errors file instead of being displayed on the screen. So these are all the commands you can try in your Linux system, and you can see the difference between all these ls commands. With this, I am concluding this session. We will be seeing again more commands, file manipulations and programming structures.